You are listening to Shameless Stories, and I'm Nicola Humber, founder of the Unbound Press, soul-led publishing company for magical women writing world-changing books. And we are delighted to be the sponsor of this podcast. So enjoy, magical one.
So I'm super excited for another episode of Shameless Stories, the podcast that aims to shine a light on shame and transmute it to where it belongs. I'm really, really excited, so much so I can't even speak properly today, it would appear, to be joined by Adam Tallamy. I'm so happy to have you, Adam. You're one of the leading life coaches from the UK, a transformational speaker and teacher, and that's how I met you. You were being a transformational speaker at a recent event in Tunbridge Wells, and I just had to get you on. That's basically why we're here.
Love it.
And we always did. We were doing exactly what I do every single time I bring a guest onto the show, and we were getting to the nitty-gritty of what this is all about. So I'm hoping that we can kind of pull that thread back into our conversation. But I'd love to sort of talk to you. I mean, the question that I often ask my guests is kind of, what does shame mean to you? And how is that manifested in your life? And and how did you get into being a transformational life coach? Because I suspect the two are potentially linked.
Maybe they are. Yes. Well, that's a big question. Okay, so let's start with my own journey with shame. So if you'd have asked me 15 years ago, did I carry shame or did I feel ashamed? I'd have said no, point blank. And probably took me another to 10 years ago before I started to realize, actually, no, I do carry shame. Have I done anything that I felt was shameful? No. But the more I've worked on myself, the more I realize, actually, I've carried a load of shame. I'm not sure about how open to this some of your listeners are, but a lot of my shame went back to past lives.
Okay.
And
anything goes on.
Okay, good. That's lucky. 15 years ago, I would have laughed you out of the room to have talked about past lives even. But as I've started coaching people and as I've received healings myself, past lives come up a lot. And the shame that I've experienced has been through dark deeds that I've done in past lives, but also dark deeds that were done to me, abuse, rape, that kind of thing. So if you've done it, you've probably experienced it, and vice versa, because karma has to balance things out. And this shame, what I've come to realize really only through experiencing it viscerally, is shame, as Brené Brown says, is the most corrosive thing, carries the lowest frequency of all the emotions. And it will stop you doing things when you have no idea that you're even carrying shame, which I didn't for the first, 35 years of my life. So it is so crucial to success, to manifestation, to getting what you want, to living the life you want, to feeling you deserve a partner and a great relationship. And it's always there hidden at the bottom. And it's the last thing people want to look at because it's really confronting. It's really painful sometimes. And people are ashamed of it. And they'll do anything they can to push that away, including hiding it from themselves, which I did very effectively for many, many, many years. But I pretty much can guarantee that everyone's got some. Some people are carrying a lot. And it's a real thing.
It really is. And we were talking very briefly about, you asked me the question about why I was doing this work. And it is because, not just because of the work that I do with PR clients, but it's also to do with, and the things that stop people sharing their stories because they feel ashamed of whatever happens to them, whatever that looks like. But also, we all carry shame. I talked about my episode on the treadmill where I refused to go back to the gym because I was running along. My trousers were too big. They fell down. I was giving it a good old sprint and the trousers fell down and I'm left there in just my pants. And I don't know. I didn't laugh about, well, I kind of laughed it off. I pulled the trousers up and I literally left the gym and never went back again. And like, still paid for the gym, but I was so ashamed that those people that saw me do that might see me again and laugh at me. So I never returned to the gym again. And it's those types of really tiny shames that trigger this stuff. We were talking about that.
Yeah.
You were saying you work with people that have come to you because of the treadmill situation, but there's so much, once you uncover that, there's a visibility piece for me.
Yeah. So yes, what we were saying was that those small little triggers, they might affect someone really badly. They might be much worse than you actually. Might never want to show their face in that town again, even, you know, because it feels so confronting. Did you move? No.
No.
So, and yet someone else it could happen to, and they literally laugh it off, dust themselves down, and go straight onto the next machine and never think twice about it. So what that reveals, it's a sign from the universe to say, hey, there's a big issue underlying this. Okay. And everyone carries a pot of shame, just as they carry a pot of happiness, a pot of anxiety, a pot of not feeling good enough. And what you have to do is you have to start working on the small little pieces that come up. So i.e. the treadmill incident, because that's going to help you clear some of the overall pot of shame that you carry. So that's the surface level presenting issue, the treadmill, but there's always a deeper story going on. So what I do is I deal with both. And then over time, and who knows how deep the pot is for you, everyone's different. Yeah. It might be that we work through it in one session, few sessions, or it might take several years. But eventually you'll always get to a point where you'll be like, oh, wow, you suddenly realize probably after 6 months, I haven't felt any shame. What's happened? I used to feel it every day. So yeah, that's the journey.
That's fascinating. And I'd love to dive a little bit deeper into, you talked about you didn't feel shame, or you were point blank saying you didn't feel shame.
Yeah.
There were parts of your journey that may have been past life related. So could you explore that a little bit for me and share a bit about that?
Yes. So I, to be honest, I was a little bit emotionless. I was a businessman running a company in the city, thought everything was great, didn't think I had any problems at all. And I remember doing an NLP workshop, neuro-linguistic programming, and the guy said, let's work on some issues. And we worked on one thing, and I was like, yep, great. And then he said, right, let's work on another one. And I sat there and I was like, I don't have any more issues, which makes me die with laughter now, because I'm like, I can recognize about 50 things I could sit down and talk to you right now, but I was completely unconscious, asleep, didn't realize what was going on. And I think that's how a lot of people are, right? If you look at the city and you go on the tube, people are rushing about. Where are they going? You know, and I used to be like it, no judgment, but why? You know, they're in business to keep so busy that they don't have to face the shame. And either you get busy, or you work out loads, or you drink, or whatever it is you can do to push these emotions down.
So, I mean, as you're talking about the corporate piece, like that's definitely, you know, the coping mechanisms or the strategies that you would have had in place would have been around drinking, drugs, keeping busy, addictions.
Yeah, they work brilliantly. Very clever. And by the way, you can also hide in healing. You can be working on yourself, but not working on the right things. You know, you can be saying, I've got to work on myself, I can't go out and do that, but actually deep down you feel too ashamed to go and do it. So even those who are watching, who have really been doing the journey for years, you might be hiding too. I catch myself many times, you know. Yeah. So So that the past life thing was where a lot of my shame stemmed from, but it can also be ancestral. So it doesn't mean that you have to have done anything in this life. I had something that came down strongly down my male ancestral line, which was from, I think, great grandfather, something that had happened to him that I was able to go into and work on and identify what it was. You have to have an intuition to that, or hire someone who can help you with it. But I mean, you think over all the generations of your family, stuff is going to have happened, right? So
Yeah.
it's only natural that patterns and issues and fears and insecurities are going to flow down. And I can see, not that they've done anything either, but I can see those patterns in my father, and I can see them in my in my grandfather when he was alive as well. And they lived a certain way, and they both ran businesses, and they both kept themselves in their lane where they were successful, and they stayed within that because it was very, very comfortable to them. And I could have done the same when I was running my recruitment business. Very comfortable. I was very good at what I did. I was the boss, couldn't be challenged, very, very safe. But when you have to step outside of that, like my social life was pretty much non-existent for the last 10 years I was running that business because, I was too busy, or I'm too tired at the weekend, or whatever, but actually I didn't want to go out and be seen. That was the truth of it. And look, I still work on that today. The speaking event that we met at, that was me kind of stepping up to another level. I've done lots of podcasts, haven't done that much speaking. That has been a big journey of mine. So yeah, it's an ongoing thing. There are levels to the game, and it depends how big do you want your life to be. You might be really successful right now, doing really well, have loads of money, be very visible, but there's always another level you can go to, and shame will be in there somewhere.
Oh yeah. I mean, I love this podcast because I learn so much personally, because people arrive and they share their wisdom, and I'm just sitting there going, yes, I know. I was one of the people in the audience. I didn't want to go on the stage. So I know where my next level needs to be. Yeah. And I think that's it. It's like you say, I think as well, there was a real, I mean, I don't know about you, but certainly like 5 years ago when, all that stuff happened where we had to stay indoors, I think that set a lot of people back, and made them, shamed them for going out, being seen, being around people. I do think that there was something residual around that energy of what happened.
Fascinating. Yeah.
I mean, I feel really comfortable behind a Zoom. I mean, I remember when I first started working in corporate, and I actually started working for a video conferencing company. And at the time, it was unheard of. You went to meetings in person. And then everything shifted to video, where I'd been residing for quite a while. And it was like, this is great. I'm loving it. I don't get to speak to people. And now I'm like, oh, I think I actually need to start speaking to people, because when I do, it brings stuff up.
It does.
There's an element of that as well.
Yeah, for sure. It really does. Interesting what you just said about COVID. I hadn't thought about shame in the context of that. It did bring shame up for people when they weren't doing the prescribed thing by authority, right? But equally, and this is something I don't think many people understand, is the people who were shaming those people, who were ringing up the police and going, oh, he's walking his dog 3 times a day instead of 2, or whatever it was. Those people are also carrying shame, and it's 2 sides of the same coin. If you're criticizing and shaming someone, that's because you carry shame also. Yeah. If you're being shamed, that's because they could shame them and the person doesn't react. But if they react and they feel ashamed, then there's something there to be worked on from both sides. Really interesting.
Yeah, it's such a minefield of a subject. I don't know. I like to simplify things because my brain needs that, but we all feel it. It doesn't, everyone's shame is the same. It doesn't matter whether it's a big or a little. It feels the same in your body. It doesn't, it's that. Yeah.
It's interesting, isn't it, that without going into specific organizations that are doing this, but shame is a big thing in some organizations, and and shame is kind of hyped up and made to be a big thing. And if you wanted to control people, if you wanted to control the masses and keep them smaller, I would promote shame, wouldn't you? Because underlying, it's the thing beneath everything else. Once you clear away all the stuff, don't feel good enough, I'm a bit scared, a bit shaky, you go through all those layers, that is only then when you get to the shame. It's when you're really about to make a big breakthrough, that's when the shame starts to really be seen, because then it's like, oh, actually, if I really do this, then I'm going to be seen and someone will see my shame. And that is the last thing any of us really want.
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess that's where the work that I do in PR, there is this element of sometimes a client will come and work with me and I will speak to them about their stories. And it's like, what are the stories that, and this is the same for corporate, PR people, we know the worst things that are going to happen behind the scenes, because that's what we're about. We're about managing brand reputation and effectively an individual's reputation. We use the same kind of, process as a human being as we do in PR. Like, oh, well, we've got these stories, we'll file them away, no one will ever see them again. But and there's always a but.
Yeah, that's true.
Worked for a consumer electronics company. Well, these washing machines might blow up, but we won't tell anyone about them. What do you get? A man in the front of, in the front office with a washing machine that's blown up. Really? There you go.
Wow.
And this is what happens in us. And that's where I see the correlation between the two. And that's what led me to the podcast. But yeah, I see it everywhere. I also call myself out there all the time. It's like, shit, yeah. I shamed my kids. I shouldn't shame my kids. Sorry, I shamed you, child. That's mine, not yours. Oh, it's a minefield. Once you start going there.
Yeah. Now, don't let that put anyone off, because it's there to be found. And actually, I would say the fact that you're so present with it is a really good thing, because most people, they ain't going there. They'll do anything other than go there. So it's really great.
Yeah, I mean, is there anything like, what would you say to somebody who's really, I mean, what would people come, say, for example, what would people come to you for with that? I mean, I'm guessing they wouldn't go, hey, Adam, I'm dealing with shame.
No.
They would be coming to you with something else.
I mean, they could do, but typically no. They either come because they know there are a lot of things in their lives they need to change, or they want to go to that next level. They want more success, more fame. They want to change things up. And then my process is we work through the immediate challenges. What's going on for you? Relationship, career. You're having an argument with a friend. You don't like how things are. We work through that, and then you have to get down into the don't feel good enough, scared. I teach them a set of tools that they can then go away and work through the emotions themselves. Because even with the best one in the world, if you work with me for 2 or 3 months, you're going to reach a good level. You're going to get some good changes, but what about the rest of your life, and what about between the sessions? So I teach them the tools that between the sessions, even they can go through and start to work on shame, or whatever it is that's coming up for them. And that takes them forward probably 10 times faster than just by sitting down with me. And moving forward, it will save them a lot of money as well. Yeah. And then I give them little homeworks, and they go away and take the actions that are either going to bring up the next level of resistance, whatever that might be, or they start to practice the tools and work through how they feel about Joe Bloggs, who said this last week, or whatever it is, and get them to a better place. Then once you get that foundation in place where you're not feeling ashamed, you're feeling good enough, you're feeling safe, which is absolutely pivotal. And shame is a lot about safety. Why are we so worried about shame? because it might lead to bad consequences for us if people saw who we really were or what we did, right? So, but if you felt safe, you probably wouldn't be that as worried about it. So you build that foundation, and then once you've got that foundation in place, safety, security, feel good enough, feel deserving, don't feel ashamed, then you can build whatever you want on top of that. Otherwise, and I know this because I did it, you're building on sand, and at some point that whole thing can crumble and fall away. And that's what happened with my recruitment business. I ran it for 10, 11 years. Then I had a burnout. I was off work for 2 years, couldn't do anything. That's when I started going inside and going on this journey. So I don't regret any of it. Best thing that ever happened to me.
Yeah.
But I would have liked those 10 years to have led to me having a business and retired off the back of that. But it wasn't to be, you know. So from this perspective, I'm in a stronger place to now start to rebuild and build a business. And I've been coaching for over 12 years now. So it's taken a long while for me.
So that burnout was effectively your sliding door moment of choosing. You had no choice, really. Your body took over.
Yeah. The universe went, it's you. and that was it. I kept trying to go back to work for the first few weeks, but I was every time I was 2 days in bed, couldn't move. And that's when I found meditation and started healing. I was just trying to get back to work, really, but it wasn't to be. And it led to me becoming a coach ultimately, and helping people with the same sort of things.
Do you think that so just like zeroing in on the burnout piece, where, you know, you've worked really hard, you've got this successful business, everything's great, and then you hit this burnout point. What did that look like? Did you just suddenly go one day, that was it, I can't get out of bed, and then the conditioning kept you trying to go back to work?
Yeah, I mean, I was a mild workaholic, and just out of the blue, I did have a warning signal. The only warning signal that was coming was I had a bit of a panic attack before I was doing a speaking event, funnily enough. But other than that, there were no signs. I was going for it with work, and one day I thought I was having a heart attack, and instead of stopping, I carried on my train journey to Leeds from London to go to a meeting with a bank, and I fell asleep in the HR director's office. Wow. And my colleague nudged me, going like, "What the hell?" as you would, and that was it. Then I thought I was having a heart attack, but I went to not one but two meetings, came back to London, then went to A&E, which shows you, like, to me, it's just hilarious. That shows you the state of mind that I was in. And then, trying to get back, I just couldn't do it. And eventually I kept being told by the people around me, you're not going back to work. And I was like, what do you mean? But I couldn't go back to work. Every time it was like, no, you're not doing it. And it went from, it was actually pleurisy that I had, water on the lung, viral, which can take a long time to recover from. And eventually I just had to finally listen to my body. And I tell you what I had done is I'd had my first ever healing session about a month prior. And by the way, I'm not blaming this. Don't let this put you off, because it was the best thing that ever happened to me. It was what I needed. But I'd said a prayer after that session, and I said, if there's a way, because I was starting to realize I've got a lot of stuff, but a lot of things I need to work through. I said, if there's a way that I can work through this quicker, let me have it. Boom. Okay.
Careful what you wish for.
Really, really be careful. But it was great in a way, because I then spent the next 2 years solidly looking at myself, asking some big questions. Who am I? Why am I doing what I'm doing? Why on earth am I running this company? Why am I a mild workaholic? Why am I killing myself? Why am I not having the level of success that I want? That was a big one. Still is to this day. And what's my real purpose here? What's my life purpose? And all of those questions are now weaved into my coaching work. And I believe I found the formula for success, and it is dealing with all of those underlying emotions, including shame, which is the deepest one, to build that foundation. Then it's visualizing what you want. And once you get out of your own way and allow it in, you can have or create whatever you want in life. But until you've done that inner work and come into alignment with it and become it, it's probably not going to happen for you,
Yeah. And
So
that's the thing, isn't it? It's the oh God, there was a point and it's gone. But it's the knowing that you have to have that foundation that you need to face these things. Otherwise, you're just constantly building on sand. That's the scary bit. And I think certainly that happened to me about 2 years ago. I built this business up and I basically recreated what I knew, which was corporate environment for myself. With all the stress, with all the strain, with all the things. And it's like, why have I just, I know, I've been, you can't break out of the mold that quickly without like dropping a few things along the way.
yeah. See that all the time. That's just normal, totally.
And it is the burn it all down. And now I'm rebuilding in a way that feels better. And there was shame around that too. There was shame around letting everything go. There was shame about leaning into my husband for him to take care of me, because I've always been very self-sufficient. And it is, there was lots of shame around that. Like, oh, what did you do last year? Well, just kind of had a menopause thing going on, really. But also I had things going on in my personal life with my parents and things. And that's why I want to talk about this stuff, because it's not shameful to have a break, to have to listen, to stop, to respond to, everything fell away. Clients disappeared. It was my pleurisy moment, if you like. I had the same happen to me in corporate, where for 2 years on the trot, I had back issues. It put me flat on the back for weeks, and I'd still sit there on my laptop, being busy, being useful. And it happens, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, can you see the I was going to say, can you see the gift in it now?
Of course. Of course. I wouldn't want to work like that now.
Yeah. So hard. Otherwise, we'd probably still be there, wouldn't you? Don't you think? I'd still be doing my recruitment thing. You'd still be in corporate.
I would probably be a raging alcoholic by now, and I wouldn't have a good relationship with my family and my children. I would be a very different person. So I'm very grateful to the choices, the sliding door moments that I've had.
Yeah.
That have led me on a different path. But I'm also, I know that there are people out there that, and like you said that people, it's not always going to be like that for some people just won't see that light. They won't hear this podcast. It will just pass them by, which is the sad thing.
Well, do you know what? I always think you get what you need when you need it. And not everyone's meant to wake up in this life. Much as I'm all about waking people up, some people are just meant to be how they're meant to be, because they have to experience what they need to experience. And if you were awake, you wouldn't do half the things that most people are out there doing.
Yeah.
But who knows what they're here to do, right? I've tried to wake so many people up who didn't want to be woken up, and it's never ended well. So you put the carrot out there, you tell them how it could be, and the benefits of it, and then if they want to do it, they do it. And if they're meant to find this podcast, they'll find it. They're meant to come to one of my workshops, they'll come. And I've kind of let go a little bit now. If there's one person shows up, that's great, because they're the person that was meant to be there. They're meant to actually have a one-to-one, but maybe they couldn't afford it or whatever it is. And they get it when they need it.
I love that. Thank you for coming on today. Is there any other words of wisdom? Because this has been packed full of wisdom, but any other words of wisdom you'd like to leave?
God, I'd love to give you something really clever now, but I'm not sure I have that.
You've done the clever bit.
Done the clever bit. I mean, if you're listening and you're you have shame, or even if you're not sure that you have shame, I just say start to go inside, start to talk about it, journal about it, find a coach, a healer, have a session or two, because it's just taking that first step. And you'll always go to the person or the thing that you need, even if it doesn't, inverted commas, work out with that person. That was perfect too. Not everyone's the right person, but it's always right in a sense. And the shame will appear when it's meant to, and it doesn't always sit at the surface for everyone. It's often the last thing that comes up, so you might need to work on yourself quite a bit. But once it does come up, you're starting to hit real gold, because if you can work through the shame, on the other side of that is the life that you want. So don't push it down. Face it when you can. And if you want to have a drink and push it down at times, that is fine too, because it's hard work and it's very self-effacing. So, be gentle and kind with yourself and just keep chipping away when you can.
And I'm guessing you can do it at any time. It's not like,
oh yeah,
this work is a lifetime's work, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. One of my teachers, talking about self-worth, he said, yeah, it's probably something you have to work on for lifetimes and lifetimes. Now, we're fortunate or unfortunate, depending on your perspective, that the energy on the planet is very fast at the moment. So when I started doing this work 15 years ago, a person would sit on the treatment bed and they'd be wailing and screaming and crying and really going through it. And now they don't need to go to that level. A quick conversation can sometimes be enough to flip them out of it and to do what was required. So it's much easier now to work through your stuff, to work through the shame. You can do it definitely within this lifetime. It's just about you committing, knuckling down and doing it persistently, showing up every day, just little bits. Yeah, but it's a crazy time to be alive, right? So that's the flip side.
And we all chose to be here at this moment, didn't we, to do this work? So,
I'm sure I didn't, but
Oh my goodness.
So I'd like to offer, if it's okay with you, I'd like to offer your listeners over the next, let's say 2 months, a free one-to-one taster session with me, 0 obligation. If you think you might want some help, some support, some coaching, and you'd like a taster, to check it out, see if working with me is good for you, if it fits, very happy to do that. You can just contact me, DM me via my website, which is adamtallamy.com. I'll put that in the link, but it's TALLAMY.com. Love to see you, love to help, and yes, take the next step.
Amazing. Thank you so much for coming on today. I hope you have listened and walk away with some nuggets of wisdom from listening to Adam and his shares. I will put all the links in the show notes so you can get your hands on a taster session if you feel called, and look forward to seeing you next week for another episode of Shameless Stories.